Bunch of rebels. They have been waiting a long time, since basically the middle of last November, to get back on a football field with a chance to avenge what happened to them last season. And our own Jessica Mendoza is down not only in this insanity, but waiting to see those angry rebels come out of the tunnel. Jessica.
Yes, I am. And guys, every team is anxious to play their first game of the season. Ole Miss, more than ever. I talked to players, coaches, fans. They want to put this grueling offseason behind them, get that bad taste out of their mouth. Defensive end Kentrell Lockett told me that this team is mad. They're reckless, and they're ready as they do come out of this tunnel to prove that they are a different team from last year.
Jessica, there's no question, and Coach Davey, in this state, when you go 1-7 in the SEC and you end up at the end of the season losing to Mississippi State, Houston Nutt's team has been waiting a while for this opportunity. And here come the rebels. What a terrific scene. Now, BYU has to play in this cauldron. And really, when you think about Brigham Young and how they closed out their season last year, they have equally high hopes about their prospects for this year as well.
Yeah, I think quarterback Jay Keeps said it best. He just flat said this is a statement game, even though it's the first game for BYU. First game as an independent in the SEC. It's about 100 degrees out here. But I am really anxious to watch this BYU offense. 10 starters back from last year, but I think the change is the biggest point of conversation. They have gone back to the old BYU West Coast offense that they had so much success with Lavelle Edwards, Jim McMahon, Ty Detmer. I know BYU fans are really anxious to watch this BYU offense today.
Well, BYU playing Ole Miss this afternoon, and Ole Miss's head coach is Houston Nutt, standing by with Jessica.
Well, Coach, you played quarterback yourself. You've coached many. What are you telling Barry Brunetti before his first game?
I just want him to relax, take care of the ball. He's won a lot of games in high school. Just take care of use those instincts. Take care of the football, manage the game. He's going to be fine.
Well, Coach, there's only been one time in the last 17 years that you haven't called the plays. How much are you itching to call some today?
I won't be shy if they ask me, but I'm letting it go.
Coach, last year, everyone's been talking about that. How excited are you to prove to this year's team is different?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
How excited are you to prove how much different this year's team is?
I can't wait. That's why we're playing this game. I can't wait. Brand new season. Let's go.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Jessica, thanks very much. Ole Miss won the toss, deferred their option to the second half, so Jay Keeps will get the first opportunity with the football, and Bronco Mendenhall in his 7th season last year, a 7-6 year for BYU, closed out the year with a very impressive win over UTEP in the New Mexico Bowl. And we are set for football, opening weekend in college football, as Andrew Ritter sends a line drive. Jordan Johnson thought about bringing it out and was told by Mike Hague, stay put. So Jay Keeps, last season the first BYU freshman to start a bowl game and was the MVP of the New Mexico Bowl. And Bob Davie, also with the 15 touchdown passes, broke Ty Detmer's freshman record for touchdown passes at Brigham Young.
And visiting with him on the phone, and I know you would agree with this, probably as confident as a young sophomore quarterback as I have ever seen. This kid is loaded with confidence.
A BYU offense that last year averaged about 15.6 points per game in the games where Jay Keeps was not the starting quarterback, and a little over 29 points a game in the games that he did start. Not sure what the delay is from over on the Ole Miss sideline. They might be looking for a football. I would say if there was one thing that you want to make sure you know where it is for the opener, find a football.
When you talk about the old BYU West Coast offense, I think you're going to see the quarterback under center a lot more. A year ago, they were in the spread that most every team in college football is running out of the shotgun. Look for Jay Keeps up under center, a high percentage of snaps in this football game.
J.J. DiLuigi is the lone setback. He takes the handoff on first down and picks up about 5. May have lost the football. The Cougars still have it. Justin Smith on the stop. It'll be 2nd and 5.
93, Justin Smith.
Of all the struggles Ole Miss had last year on defense, #1, pass defense, pass efficiency defense. Look for BYU to methodically try to pick them apart early in this game.
DiLuigi motions out of the backfield. They can create some mismatches with him at the top of your screen. Heaps goes that way. DiLuigi has a first down. As we take a look at the BYU impact players on offense.
Well, it's not very often you say the #1 impact player is a guy that didn't play last year, but Ross Oppo, this big, tall freshman wide receiver, teased BYU fans last year. Played in the first game, redshirted after that. JJ DiLuigi, you just saw, kind of a combination running back wide receiver. And then on defense for Ole Miss, Kentrell Lockett. May not be 100%, may not play the whole game. Missed last year with a knee injury, but he is the leader of this Ole Miss defense.
Play action for Heaps. Here comes the rush, and he goes down. The blitz got Heaps back at the 22-yard line. It was Marcus Temple setting up a loss of about 8.
Play action pass is a big part of BYU's pass game, but you can see right here, Ole Miss is going to bring the corner off the boundary. Almost impossible to block that. That is a great defensive call by Tyrone Nix, anticipating play action, because in play action pass, Bob, you almost have no chance to block a blitzing defensive back.
2nd and 24. Heaps short hops it to a Poe. It'll be 3rd down and 24. There's a lot of noise down there, and Jessica's in it.
You guys, it is so loud down here. Jay Keeps just came over to the sidelines, and he's having a hard time hearing, especially as that clock winds down. You can hear the crowd get louder and louder.
That's life in the SEC. Actually, BYU a little bit of a break today because an overcast, cloudy day. It'd be a lot worse if that sun was out and these fans were screaming.
Heaps on 3rd and 24, goes over the middle, and he had Falslev running free, but overthrew him. So after BYU picked up a first down, a couple of hits to J.J. DiLuigi, they move backwards, and they'll have to punt.
Big sigh of relief from this Ole Miss fan base. You can see how big that first stop was. Jay Keeps uncharacteristically missed a wide open receiver down that seam.
So Riley Stevenson will punt it away, and Jeff Scott is back deep to receive for Ole Miss. A 4.3 40 guy is Jeff Scott. He is a home run hitter.
And I know Bronco Mendenhall right now, his #1 nightmare is missed tackles in the kicking game.
Stevenson with a shank. This is up the sideline. It might not even clear the 30-yard line. Let's see where they mark it out. He did well just to get it to the 35. No, he keeps coming downhill. Does that official? It's going to be inside the BYU 30-yard line. Ole Miss will start at the BYU 28. That's an 11-yard punt. That's a nightmare start for Bronco Mendenhall's team. And Nick Howell, the special teams coach, watches his team put out an 11-yard punt. So now we take a look at Barry Brunetti, a dual threat quarterback that transfers from West Virginia back close to home, a Memphis native here at Ole Miss. Trying to turn the corner is Brazel. And Nick Brazel is taken down, a loss of about a yard. Daniel Sorensen made the stop. It'll be 2nd down and long.
You'll see the true freshman, Brazel, number 2, come across in motion. Everybody in Oxford, everybody on this campus is really excited about this young freshman, Nick Brazel.
We expect to see Brazel not only play some offense today, but play some defense as well. Now the eye back is Jeff Scott. 2nd down and 11. Scott finds a crease. Lost the football. It's picked up by Daniel Sorensen. Will they rule it a fumble? They do. BYU's got it. Jeff Scott shaken up as well. Well, that's a big momentum changer for BYU. They get the turnover on a possession that starts inside their own 30-yard line.
Let's take a look at it again. This is a huge blow. First of all, for Jeff Scott, big lick by Vaught-Hemingway, the linebacker. You see the ball come out. Really have a hard time seeing how it happened, but you see him clutch that knee. Vaught-Hemingway, that's the transfer from USC right there, makes the hit. That's his left knee, Jeff Scott. Sorensen, the safety, who is just off a mission. You have 2 players from BYU. Hemingway wasn't here in the spring. Neither was Sorensen. Both of them involved in that first turnover.
DeLuigi. He is a strong running back. 5'9", 185 pounds, and he just took Justin Smith and Damian Jackson for a ride for a gain of nearly 6 yards. Set up 2nd down and short.
Yeah, he's not very big. About 5'9", 180. Had a great bowl game you did out in New Mexico when they beat UTEP.
That is the end.
Well, the end of what was a very eventful first quarter. About as eventful a first quarter as you could have in a scoreless game, as we come back to Oxford in just a moment.
You're watching the SEC on ESPN.
This is SEC country if there ever was. College football presented by Cars.com as we start the 2nd quarter. BYU and Ole Miss are scoreless. But the BYU offense on the field, as has been the case for most of the game. 2nd down and a long 4. 4-man rush. Heaps well protected. Stumbling for about a yard, maybe 2, is Michael Alisa.
The number 42, Michael Alisa.
Well, we're still scoreless, and that's almost a shock in that the fact that BYU doesn't have some points on the board is amazing. Their offense has barely left the field.
Yeah, well, they've controlled the ball the whole game. The reason Ole Miss turned the ball over, they had a great opportunity early offensively, and then they dropped the pass on 3rd down, which should have been a 1st down for Ole Miss. But you're right, I mean, BYU totally controlling this game, time of possession, total plays, which really does help BYU's defense in the long run in this heat and humidity down here today.
Here comes the blitz on 3rd and 3, and Heaps can't beat it. Threw off his back foot. DeLuigi couldn't haul it in as Mike Mary came up the middle untouched. And again, Ole Miss bends a bit but doesn't break.
Exactly, and I've also noticed Jake Heaps has not been as accurate as he was late last season. Here you see the drop back out of from under center. Threw that ball a little bit outside to J.J. DeLuigi. A little more mechanics change, dropping back from under center. He doesn't seem as accurate as I thought he would be early in this game.
And do my eyes deceive me, or is that Jeff Scott back deep to receive the punt? Terrific looking kick again by Stevenson. Scott fields it at the 5-yard line. Gets a block. Tries to turn the corner and stays on his feet. Jeff Scott almost out to midfield. Riley Stevenson might have saved a touchdown as the punter finally brought down Jeff Scott.
Sometimes you out-punt that coverage, particularly when there's a return man like Jeff Scott back there. I really felt like the only way Ole Miss can score is if they get great field position or a score off special teams. There's a missed tackle. Now he gets to the wall. He's just going to outrun that guy. And now the punter is a touchdown-saving tackle. But for Ole Miss to win this football game, that's how they're going to have to generate offense.
A 52-yard punt and a 43-yard return,
And
so only a 9-yard change.
And Stout in at quarterback. Look for play action down the field. He's the thrower.
Zach Stout, a quarterback change, and instead they go to the ground. That's the biggest offensive play that Ole Miss has had so far, as Enrique Davis has a first down.
On the tackle, number 9, Daniel Sorensen. First down.
Zach Stout, the junior from Dublin, Ohio.
Well, they told us yesterday, Houston, that he was going to be the 2-minute quarterback. He made it in by 2 minutes, and he made it in by 49 seconds, now 35 seconds, Bobby. He's got 2:35 to work with.
Junior college transfer from Iowa Western, originally signed with Louisville, and he looks to put it up. Under some pressure, hit from behind, so it comes out as a knuckleball. Jordan Pendleton bothered Zach Stout as he was set to let it go.
I talked about this 3-4 defense. If you're going to play it well, you have to have great outside linebackers. You're going to see Pendleton lined out on the wide receiver, kind of disguising the blitz. Both these outside linebackers run 4-4. That's a great effort right there. But if you're going to play the 3-4, you better have playmakers on the outside, and BYU does, in Van Noy and Pendleton.
Play action for Stout. Sets up the screen. It's in the hands of Jeff Scott. He's got a first down to the 25-yard line. Gain of 16.
We have to mention Randall Mackey probably would have been the starting quarterback today. He's been suspended for the game. Zach Stout taking advantage right now of his opportunities.
Jeff Scott taking advantage as well, right up the middle. A gain of 8. It'll be 2nd down and 2 from the 17. As for the first time in this game, Ole Miss is in the red zone.
Big plays. The kicking game, big play, sparked this football team in this stadium. The punt return by Jeff Scott.
And now Zach Stout, the junior college transfer, picking up the tempo with a toss to Enrique Davis. He makes players miss inside the 10-yard line where it's 1st and goal.
The first chance today, you see Randall Mackey on the sidelines, suspended for 1 game, the quarterback. But for the first time today, Ole Miss putting pressure on this BYU defense.
A timeout called by BYU with 1:37 to go in the first half. For Bronco Mendenhall, that almost feels like a basketball team calling timeout to try and stop a run.
What a great morale boost for Ole Miss now.
And now they're going to put Zach Stout in the pistol. Trap handoff to Enrique Davis. Not a lot there. It'll be 2nd down and goal. Jordan Richardson made the stop for BYU.
This is where, if you're Houston Nutt, and you have your 3rd quarterback in there, all these quarterbacks knew you're not as aggressive as you would have been a year ago with Jeremiah Masoli, or if you had an experienced quarterback. You're thinking right now, hey, let's at least get a field goal, even as conservative as that sounds. Don't screw it up yourself.
Stout to throw. Has a man. Inside the 5-yard line goes Devin Thomas, out of bounds at the 3. It will be 3rd down and goal.
This is an interesting call right here. 3rd down and goal on about the, 3-yard line. You have a very inexperienced quarterback, young receivers. Does Houston Nutt say right now, okay, I've got 2 downs to make 3 yards and score a touchdown. I don't want a field goal. I'm going to run the ball twice. Or does he say, let's let Zach Stout throw it for 3 yards?
Logan in motion. That's where Stout wants to go and has to throw it away. The pressure came. Jordan Pendleton almost dropped him back at the 15-yard line. And now not picking up any yardage. 4th down and 3 seems to be a pretty clear decision here for Houston Nutt. He will take the 3 points and get his team on the board. So he'll send Bryson Rose out of the hold of Andrew Ritter.
I'd have been tempted to run that ball twice. Now, I'm conservative, I don't like throwing it right there, putting it on Zach Stout.
20-yard field goal attempt. And Bryson Rose, who last year was almost perfect on the season, 16 of 18 on the year. Well, now he's 1 for 1. Bronco Mendenhall, though, happy his team got the stop inside the 10, held Ole Miss to only 3. So it's a field goal game with 49 seconds to go in the first half.
And just spinning forward, you know, we talked about the 3-4 defense. You have to have great outside linebacker play. Watch the pressure they get on the 3rd and 3 with both these outside linebackers coming right here. See the pressure at the top, particularly out of Pendleton. But Houston Nutt deciding in that situation, I'm going to throw the ball, try to score on 3rd and 3, and I'm content to take the field goal, to win at halftime up 3-0.
So Ole Miss puts together one offensive drive in the entirety of the first half. BYU dominates time of possession, and yet Ole Miss, they'll start the second half with the football, and they've got a 3-0 lead. And let's head down to Jessica Mendoza.
Well, Coach, no one knows this defense better than you. You held Ole Miss to 3 points in the first half. What are you telling your D at the half?
Oh, they still have to respond if we have a short field, which we did there at the end on the punt. Turnovers and creating field position looks like what is going to be the name of this game, and so we need to do a little bit better job with that.
What specifically does your offense need to do to get on the board?
You know, consistency. We're moving the ball well. I think we have the time of possession edge, but we're making some critical mistakes that are stopping our own drives.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Jessica, thanks very much. 3-0 at half. Reese Davis, it's not exactly Baylor TCU. Let's go back to you with the halftime report. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN, presented by Cars.com, where the Ole Miss Rebels have a 3-0 lead over BYU at halftime. Bob Wischusen alongside Bob Davey and Jessica Mendoza here with us in Oxford as well. We have seen big plays galore in college football already this weekend. We saw them last night. We've seen them earlier on today. This game looks like an old-fashioned slugfest. How did these two teams put some points on the board in the second half?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, this opening week of college football has just been big play after another. BYU with an 11-yard play and 2 10-yard plays on offense. Ole Miss with 1 play, 16 yards in this game. So is it good defense or is it just lack of execution? I think going forward, it looks to me BYU has the potential to score offensively a lot more points than Ole Miss's offense. Ole Miss has to have field position. They have to get a score on defense. They have to get a score in the kicking game. BYU, to me, just hasn't executed or played as well offensively, particularly their quarterback, Jake Heaps, as their potential.
Well, that young man, Jeff Scott, we saw a moment ago, really made the only big play for Ole Miss in the first half. A punt return, and now he gets a chance to return the second half kickoff from the 5 and barely gets to the 20-yard line as we check in with Jessica Mendoza.
Well, I just spoke with Coach Houston Nutt, and he said as far as which quarterback is going to go with this quarter, he wants to go with Zach Stout. He said he likes his momentum. He likes the way the team's feeding off of him. He also likes the way he takes the field and takes the team down and ready to drive. He said his defense is doing really well, but BYU is explosive, and he's ready for them to be even more so this half.
What
It's
a great
interesting,
opportunity.
You know, Coach, we saw Zach Stout come on in the first half, and we were briefed before the game that he was probably their 2-minute guy. What does this tell you about where Barry Brunetti stands, the fact that the 2-minute guy starts the second half and finds Jamez Logan?
Well, I look at it as a positive for Zach Stout. I mean, what a great opportunity for him. In fact, I visited with his dad, Cliff Stout, before the game, former Youngstown State quarterback, who actually was a teammate of mine there, and NFL quarterback. He's here. His brother's a freshman quarterback at Clemson. Zach Stout went to Louisville out of high school, then 2 years at junior college, transferred here to Ole Miss. This is a great opportunity for this guy right here if he can spark this football team.
To Enrique Davis. He slips through very close to a first down. That looks to be good for an Ole Miss first down. Manu Maliuna brought him down, but we take a look at some of the first half numbers, and it is amazing how few big plays Ole Miss had to have the lead at halftime.
Yeah, let's start with BYU. What I've seen, Jake Heaps not very accurate. A lot of short throws where receivers could have run after the catch. He didn't hit them. Then Ole Miss taking BYU's wide receivers out of the game. Ole Miss, really nothing. I mean, let's be honest. They've had no offense. They get the punt return by Jeff Scott. They have a little mini drive at the end of the first half. BYU with the potential offensively to score more points.
They actually marked Enrique Davis down shy of the first down by inches, and now he gets blown up behind the line by Jordan Pendleton.
Well, again, those outside linebackers, you're going to see Pendleton coming unblocked off the edge. You see him looking up at the Jumbotron. There he is right there. He comes unblocked.
Jordan Pendleton, who is the brother-in-law of Austin Collie, last year with 38 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, and only 7 games, makes a big play there on third down. Tyler Campbell with a line drive, returnable for Fallslev. Makes the first man miss, but a block in the back. Fallslev dropped at about the 27-yard line by Brishan Matthews, but BYU will be starting inside their own 20-yard line after a 51-yard punt. And the Cougars backed up right against that student section. Heaps from inside his own 5 finds DeLuigi. DeLuigi scoots forward for a first down. J.J. DeLuigi last year led BYU in rushing, touchdowns, all-purpose yards, receptions, almost ran for 1,000 yards, and had 45 catches as well. So he is a weapon that gives their offense a lot of flexibility. Already his 4th catch this afternoon. Now they give it to DeLuigi on the ground. He's in the secondary and almost broke it free. Very close to another BYU first down.
BYU coming out right here. The left guard pulls around and has an excellent block. Let's take a look right here. You're going to see him pull around there and lead this play up into the hole. That is very athletic right there by the left guard. Reynolds, the younger member of the law firm of Reynolds and Reynolds.
That's Houston Reynolds, only a sophomore. And the well will run dry, unfortunately, for Bronco Mendenhall once Houston Reynolds graduates from BYU. The seas part for Brian Correa. He's got 5 more yards on the ground. Brought down by Charles Sawyer and Austin Heater as we go down to the sideline and check in with Jessica.
Well, guys, running back Brandon Bolden not looking good. He will not return to the game. It's his left ankle. He's going to get tests tomorrow, but as of now, he's definitely not coming back.
He was 5th in the SEC in rushing last year at over 80 yards a game, so that's a big loss for the Ole Miss offense. Heaps, nice play action fake. Correa runs a crossing route and has a first down. Gain of 12 more yards for Brian Correa.
Another man beater. Watch the running back right here. He's going to sneak out of here on a little misdirection against man-to-man coverage. Watch him. No chance for those linebackers in man-to-man with that play action in their face, that running back coming opposite the flow. Well-designed little play right there by BYU.
How about the quarterback change for BYU? Jake Heaps goes to the sideline, and Riley Nelson comes on to run the option.
I'm not sure I'm going to call that option, though, right there. He pitched that ball, Bob. He didn't bring it down to that defensive end to make a decision, did he? He pitched that thing almost the moment he got the shotgun snap.
The gain is to midfield.
He pitched it about as quickly as I think I would have pitched it if I were in there.
Yeah, he unloaded it when he saw that defensive end Bowen out there, number 7.
So after a gain of 2, Jake Heaps right back in the game out of the shotgun on 2nd down and 8 from midfield. Can BYU finally put together a drive that produces points in the first half? Putting yards together between the 20s was not their problem. Here comes the blitz. Heaps got a one-on-one matchup. A Poe. He hauls it in. First down inside the 25, down to the 23-yard line for Vaught.
There's the freshman wide receiver against man-to-man coverage. Marcus Temple, the corner. This is what we've been waiting to see. How do you beat man-to-man? Marcus Temple in good shape, looks back to the ball, just didn't make the play. I mean, that was good coverage, just better concentration by Vaught. That's why one guy's a receiver, the ability to make plays on the ball. 25-yard catch, biggest play of the game for BYU so far.
Heaps gives one to DeLuigi, and he picks up a couple of yards. Gerald Rivers made the stop, but it should be second down and about 7.
You know, we're making such a big deal about man-to-man coverage. BYU actually went out and hired a receiver coach, Ben Cahoon, who played at BYU, all-time leading receiver in the CFL, something like 12 years in the CFL. Never coached football. Bronco Mendenhauer hires him really to teach guys to beat bump and run man-to-man coverage. That's how important it is for BYU to win those kind of matchups.
Heaps up the seam, and it's intercepted, picked off by Charles Sawyer. He's got some blockers out in front. Sawyer still on his feet. He might go. Charles Sawyer will go all the way for an Ole Miss touchdown. The point after is down the middle, and the Rebels have a 10-point lead.
Ole Miss moved Charles Sawyer from corner to safety because they felt they needed more coverage out of their safeties, and it paid off for them. Watch number 3, Charles Sawyer, just break on the football. Wow, and poor tackling by BYU.
Tyrone Nix also said having one of his fastest coverage guys playing safety might give them a big advantage. It did there. A 96-yard interception return for a touchdown by the man on the left of the man on the right. Charles Sawyer victimizes Jake Heaps, Bob Wischusen, Bob Davie, and Jessica Mendoza. And now a rocking Oxford, home of the Ole Miss Rebels, and we were waiting to see what type of a big play would swing this game, and we might have just seen it.
It's amazing coming into this game, BYU offense and Jake Heaps full of confidence. Finished last season so strong. The Ole Miss defense reeling with no confidence, but all of a sudden those two roles have reversed here.
Deep kickoff. And Andrew Ritter forces the touchback as we go back to the interception.
And here's exactly what happens. I want you to watch the safety, Charles Sawyer. He's going to start to the middle of the field, but then he's going to react back. On this first replay, we're going to show you. See him roll to the middle of the field. He's playing deep thirds. Then he just rolls back as a center fielder. And then has a heck of an athletic return. But more importantly, on the second replay, we're going to show you why he rolled back. Watch Jake Heaps just stare down the wide receiver. A big part of the quarterback's responsibility is to look that middle safety off, then come back to the receiver late. He led Charles Sawyer right back to that interception.
So now, how does Jake Heaps respond? Down by 10 on the ground to Correa. He lowers his shoulders downhill and picks up 7. It sets up second down and 3.
Again, you go back to field position. That block in the back on BYU's last punt return forces BYU to go the length of the field, and they just can't execute well enough, long enough to score points. That's kind of been the story of the game. Lack of field position and lack of big plays.
Heaps. He's got a man wide open. Michael Alisa down the sideline. And Alisa's in plus territory before he's flipped upside down by Charles Sawyer. But again, the misdirection passes in the flats have, more than any other play it seems today, been effective for BYU.
You've hit it. They've man-to-man coverage. They're going to misdirect, but sneak the fullback out in the flat, and the linebacker loses them. This is, again, a great man-to-man beater. That time he got picked a little bit by the tight end. But when you play man-to-man and you have those inside linebackers responsible for run, but all of a sudden it's play action with the back sneaking out, that is very tough to cover.
Correa caught by Kite right at the line. May have dragged him forward for a yard. It'll be 2nd down and 9.
Motivation. Coming into this game, an embarrassed coaching staff from Ole Miss. Tyrone Nix, a very prideful defensive coordinator that's played great defense. An Ole Miss defense that played really good defense until last year. That off-season motivation of being embarrassed. And that's why it's kind of refreshing to see them have the success they've had early, because you know how hard they've worked as a coaching staff and defensive football team. But this one's a long, long way from over.
Heaps on 2nd and 9. Goes over the middle. He's got a 1st down inside the 30-yard line to his tight end, Austin Holt.
If the timing's right, very difficult to stop that. BYU in the best rhythm they've been in all day right now. And a great response by Jay Keeps to that touchdown thrown interception on the last series.
DeLuigi cuts it back up inside. Gets to about the 11-yard line. Gang tackled. It'll be 2nd and 6. Well, you mentioned how angry this Ole Miss defense is and the pride they're playing with now. Is there a more embarrassing statistic for Ole Miss than that one defensively last year? They were worst in all of college football at allowing touchdowns inside the red zone.
I've coached a long time. Anytime you put worst in FBS up there, that's bad.
Jay Keeps, play action fake. Flips it in the left flat. This time it's a wide receiver, Ross Appo. And Appo out of bounds at about the 14-yard line. He might have lost a couple. Sets up 3rd down and long inside the 15.
Keep an eye on this statistic right here, time of possession. Ole Miss, the great news, they scored on that interception return right there. But their defense never got off the field. They're back out there again. They're using a lot of energy right now, this Ole Miss defense. This will go into the 4th quarter, a close football game. So time of possession, particularly how it affects this Ole Miss defense late in this game, is going to be a factor.
Heaps under some pressure, flips it towards the end zone, and it's incomplete. So the Cougars will have to settle for a field goal attempt as, again, Ole Miss surrenders some yards between the 20s, but they don't break inside the red zone. Completely the opposite of the story with their defense from last year.
Good pressure by Uriah Grant, junior college transfer defensive tackle in there for Ole Miss, and also Gerald Rivers, who they think's their best pass rusher.
Justin Sorensen, only a sophomore, trying to replace Nick Payne as the all-time leading scorer in BYU history at place kicker from 31 yards away. And he sails it wide right. Again, BYU comes away empty. Houston Nutt's team dodges another bullet, and Bronco Mendenhall still frustrated. Vaught-Hemingway Stadium is the place here in Oxford, Mississippi, the home of the Rebels. And they have not seen their offense do much at all today. The defensive touchdown for Ole Miss gives them the 10-0 lead. Back to the offense now. A high throw to the sideline, and Zach Stout makes a beauty. All the way out to the 41-yard line. He finds Jamal Mosley, his junior tight end, a gain of 21 points. 21 yards, pardon me, and an Ole Miss 1st down.
Well, Jamal Mosley, they rave about Jamal Mosley here at Ole Miss. He's a tight end, started out at Oklahoma State. then went to junior college. They say, David Lee says, who coached in the NFL 10 years, he is an NFL tight end.
Zach Stout steps up in the pocket. He unloads a deep one. End zone. Dropped. Nick Brassel couldn't hold on. The true freshman had a step. And a terrific throw by Zach Stout.
They said he was fast. You're going to watch Nick Brassel a good 2 yards. Not the easiest catch for a true freshman to make, but that ball should have been caught. Obviously should have been a big touchdown throw from Zach Stout.
Zach Stout has put a little charge into the Rebels offense. The junior quarterback. Again, flashing an NFL arm to the sideline. What a pretty throw by Zach Stout as he finds Jamez Logan for a big first down. Gain of 24 yards.
He looks like his dad out there. Really does have a very similar release to what his dad, Cliff Stout, had. And good to see Jamal Mosley coming back, making that catch after the drop early in the game.
Quick snap down, Enrique Davis. Can't get inside the 20. Probably lost a half yard.
How many Ole Miss fans would have said a week ago that with a minute left in the third quarter, we would be throwing a shutout at BYU and Zach Stout would be on the field as the starting quarterback?
He was very clearly, it seems, about 2 weeks ago, the third horse in a three-horse race as to who the starting quarterback was going to be. But Randall Mackey, the junior college transfer, arrested for disorderly conduct earlier on in August, suspended for the opener. Barry Brunetti gets the start. He's ineffective, and so Houston net goes to Zach Stout. Well, we'll see if that's what BYU can do when we come back. 3 quarters in the books. And for a defense for Ole Miss that had to sit on the entire offseason of being the worst red zone defense in college football, they got that play by Charles Sawyer. A 96-yard interception return for a touchdown. And that has the Rebels on top by 10 at the end of 3 quarters. Houston Nutt on the left, Bronco Mendenhall on the right. Then both have had their frustrating moments watching their offenses play so far today. But it's a lot less frustrating right now for Houston Nutt. He's got 10 points on the board thanks to his special teams and a 96-yard interception return by Charles Sawyer as we start the 4th quarter. 2nd down and 10 at the 11. Stout throws it out and throws it away. Bob Lachuse and Bob Davie, Jessica Mendoza here watching what has been a slugfest and a game where BYU has wasted opportunity after opportunity in plus territory to put points on the board.
And that's why I think it's so important right here that this BYU defense doesn't cave in. Hold Ole Miss to a field goal because your offense has moved the ball, as you said, all day. You're going to get a couple more scoring opportunities. To me, this 3rd and 10 right here is a key play to just hold them to a field goal attempt.
And they'll do just that. Brassel couldn't get free. Dropped at the 10-yard line. Good job by Daniel Sorensen to come up, and bring down Philander Moore. Robbie Buckner there as well. So it'll be a medium-range field goal attempt for Bryson Rose.
And I do think there's a chance we can look back on that play right there, or those last 2 plays, as a key component in the outcome of this game.
28-yard field goal attempt. And Rose is able to sneak it through. So now it's a 2-touchdown lead for Ole Miss, 13-0. The Rebels on top. Our game story through 3 quarters of play. Ole Miss pitching the shutout, and Bob Davie, their only touchdown has been scored by their defense. They've done this to Jake Heaps.
Exactly. That's what jumps out at me. An Ole Miss defense that struggled last year. Jake Heaps only 19 for 33, 175 yards. The critical interception in the red zone. A lot of credit to the Ole Miss defense, particularly secondary coach Keith Burns, a new hire who was at Kansas State last year, old friends with Houston Nutt. It's a different looking Ole Miss secondary than it was a year ago.
This kickoff is returnable for Jordan Johnson. Can he get a block? He is pile drive down at about the 28-yard line. Sir Darius Bryant on the stop as we go down to Jessica.
Well, you guys have been talking about how frustrating this BYU offense is. Well, I'm standing behind their bench, and they have another setback in running back Joshua Kazada. He's sitting here with his head between his knees. He's got a major headache, and it's been a tough day for running backs today, but he's been out since the second quarter, and they're really looking for him just to get off the bench and be able to get back in this game.
All right, Reese, thanks very much. And there's another first down. J.J. DeLuigi picks up 16 yards into the secondary. And again, BYU near midfield offensively, poised to get into plus territory.
Another little counter play. Watch the left guard right here pull around and lead up through the hole. The young Reynolds, that's a different one in there now, but that's a good block right there by the left guard.
Correa tripped up after a gain of maybe a yard or a yard and a half. Well, BYU still scoreless. They have had 4 drives in plus territory, 4 drives of 8 plays or more. And they still have a goose egg on the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's a bunch of yards without a lot of points right there. That's why I'm not sure if I'm BYU right now. I don't go a little more up-tempo. I mean, this Ole Miss defense has been on the field all day. Pick the tempo up a little bit faster, put more pressure on. BYU kind of slow and methodical. I think they need to pick it up a little bit between snaps.
Heaps. DeLuigi slips out of a tackle. And it looks as if the officials will give him the spot. Good for a first down as Mike Mary couldn't bring him down.
And here comes the critical point again. As I just mentioned, if I was Bronco Mendenhall, we control the outcome. We can obviously move the football. We just can't stop ourselves. Right here is another great example of that. They're on rhythm. Ole Miss can't stop them right now, but can they execute enough to take it in and score?
Again in the flat to a running back. This time it's Correa. And he is driven out of bounds after a gain of only a yard. And as you said, not only maybe to pick up the pace, if you thought about in and out of the huddle a little quicker, maybe even going no huddle, wouldn't the thought here be down 2 touchdowns to maximize possessions as well? So. I mean, maybe you can get the ball back again 1 extra time in the 4th quarter that you might not be able to get it by eating up clock the way they are.
I think so. I really do, for 2 reasons. I really do think they should pick the tempo up. Not that there's not plenty of time left, but I think it's to their advantage to speed it up a little bit.
Well, now they bring Riley Nelson in again, a quarterback. He came in and ran the option for 1 play. And a little belly option here. Nelson on the keeper. And he dives to about 2 yards shy of the first down. Why would you swap quarterbacks there for 1 play with Riley Nelson?
Schematically, the wildcat package with the quarterback as a runner. As you know, doing a lot of NFL games, it's the toughest schematic thing to stop. Jake Heaps is not a runner. They like the package so much they substitute the quarterback who can run it. The quarterback is a runner and 10 other guys as a blocker. That's tough to stop defensively.
3rd down and 3. Heaps back in a quarterback. Under some pressure, off his back foot, and he finds Jacobson down the sideline. McKay Jacobson. And BYU is back in the red zone again with a chance to finally maybe get on the board, a gain of 19.
On the tackle for the Rebels, number 52, Mike Mary.
This is what BYU's always been known for, the crossing route. See the receiver right there, number 6. Jacobson, young guy, went to South Lake Carroll High School outside of Dallas. Chase Daniel, you talk about a great high school passing attack now.
Chase Daniel and Greg McElroy were his 2 high school quarterbacks. That's not too bad. Play action. Heaps going end zone. He's got a pull for a touchdown. And finally, BYU breaks through and gets on the board.
We talked on the interception. Jake Heaps stared down the safety on the interception. That time he looks him off a little bit, throws back at the last second, to Oppo on the touchdown. You're going to see the young freshman redshirt receiver. Great little corner move. Catches the corner. Sawyer looking back in the backfield. Well, 8 plays, 72 yards. But more important, they got the touchdown. They made it pay off.
And it's a one-score game again. Jake Heaps 5 for 5 on that drive. The 5th time in the game that BYU has had a drive of at least 8 plays or more. And finally, it's a drive that results in points. The redshirt freshman, Ross Apo, gets them on the board. Downtown Square in Oxford, Mississippi. In 1841, the Mississippi legislature voted to make Oxford the home of the state's first university, which became Ole Miss. And some of my hard-earned money was spent yesterday in the stores right there in the downtown square. So I have done my best to help the Chamber of Commerce here in Oxford. And we've got a football game again. Heaps to Oppo a moment ago, a touchdown for BYU, and the Cougars are on the board.
Look at Oppo right there. Young man out of Texas, committed to the University of Texas. Changed his commitment, ended up at BYU. Started last year as a freshman, but dislocated his finger in the first game. Didn't play again, but an outstanding talent.
Jeff Scott tripped up inside the 15-yard line. A big play by Michael Elisa on special teams for BYU, and now momentum has really shifted back to the Cougars. Down by 7, terrible field position for Ole Miss.
Really a lot of pressure right here on David Lee, the offensive coordinator. Zach Stout's in there as your quarterback. The ball's backed up on the 12-yard line. How much trust do you have in him, particularly to throw it on 1st and 10? Or do you rely right now on that big offensive line and just try to pound it out?
They start with Enrique Davis, and he gets pounded shy of the 15-yard line, a gain of maybe a couple of yards. Well, now it's 2nd down and 27. So you're right, that's a 17-yard difference in field position by taking the penalty. That will wind the clock inside of 6 minutes to go, though. There's a chance, depending on how things play out, BYU may only get one more possession. Well, now it'll be 3rd down and 17. Or 3rd down and 27, pardon me, as H.R. Greer cut down by Oale.
And you're going to see Houston Nutt use every second of this 40-second clock right here as well. Just as we mentioned a little earlier, BYU really slow tempo. They may only get one more, probably only get one more possession.
Well, they've got a couple of timeouts left, but unless they went hurry up, we talked about their lack of tempo a little bit earlier offensively. We'll see how it plays out.
They were a no-huddle team all last season, so it's not a problem to get up there and go no-huddle.
Pressure on Stout. Lost the football inside the 5. It's loose into the end zone. That looks like it's a BYU touchdown. Kyle Van Noy with the recovery.
Look at the shock on these Ole Miss fans.
Well, there's the mistake made by the quarterback.
And here's the 3-4. Watch these 2 outside linebackers right here put pressure on Zach Stout. I don't know that I love the call. On 3rd and a mile, do you just straight drop back pass with that young quarterback in the game and allow that kind of pressure?
And now you've given up the lead. 5:09 to go. BYU leads by a point. Zach Stout not only doesn't throw the ball away to live to fight another day, but doesn't protect the football. And the fumble caused by Van Noy, picked up by Van Noy for a BYU touchdown. Amazing how this game has turned. In a game where we have had 1 offensive touchdown scored, both defenses have struck.
How much respect for the BYU defense? Think on that previous series when they dug in, held Ole Miss to the field goal that made it a 13-10 game. They've hung in there all day, and since Bronco Mendenhall took over this defense last year, the statistics were amazing last year when he took over the defense. they have continued to play good, solid defense. But again, Jeff Scott back here is the kick return man for Ole Miss. Ole Miss with another chance right here.
Scott has to take a knee. All right, Reese, thanks very much. Up the middle goes Jeff Scott on a draw for a yard, maybe a yard and a half. Joe Sampson came up to make the stop.
Plenty of time, plenty of timeouts for Ole Miss offense. The question is, do they have the experience? Do they have a big enough offensive package with Zach Stout, who they didn't really count on playing today? Definitely a challenge right here for this Ole Miss offense.
Stout to the sideline. Great touch throw, and he's got a first down. Finds Jamez Logan. And Ole Miss moves the chains, a gain of 13.
What's impressive about that? Zach Stout throwing on the run. You know, big, tall, drop back guy. He really kept that play alive and allowed that route to come open by him moving out of the pocket right there. If you're BYU right now, do not give up a big play. Make Zach Stout beat you with consistency. Don't give them the home run at any cost. Make them execute.
A missed snap out of the shotgun. Stout picks it up. Underhand throws it out of bounds. Or he did well just to get the ball back to the line of scrimmage.
I'm not sure the ball got to the line of scrimmage. He was outside the tackle box, but I'm not sure, did the ball cross the line of scrimmage, Bob?
It seemed, I mean, from our perspective, it sailed out of bounds, at least in the general vicinity.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 2nd down and 10. He avoided a loss of probably somewhere between 12 and 15 yards by picking that ball up on the run.
Again, my point, if you're BYU, play deep, make Ole Miss execute. I'm not sure they're consistent enough to get it done. That was an example of it right there.
Only a 3-man rush, so Stout all day, and he finds a hole in the zone and picks up a first down. This time it's Derek Herman with his first catch. A gain of 12. And keep in mind as well, Ole Miss only needs a field goal to take the lead, and they have a player in Bryson Rose that last year barely missed. He's 1 for 1 today. He was 16 of 18 last year. Here comes the blitz. Stout floats one, and he throws it away.
It's a little early, but looking ahead to Bryson Rose, the field goal kicker, his long last year was 41 yards. Very accurate, but not a long-range kicker.
So if you're going to draw kind of the line to make, it would seem that Ole Miss has to get inside the 25-yard line or so of BYU to put Rose in his comfort zone.
I think that's it. And again, can they block these outside linebackers of BYU? If Bronco Mendenhall, it looks like he is, bringing pressure here with these two outside linebackers.
2nd down and 10. 3-man rush. The home run ball. Incomplete. And a little bit of contact. Brazel was the intended receiver. Joe Sampson back in coverage. The ball floated out of bounds. It'll be 3rd down 10.
For number 2, Nicholas Brazel.
Yeah, the fans wanted interference. Let's take a good look at this right here.
10 from the 45.
I think it very close. You know, looking at it, my first reaction was that was pass interference. But I'm not sure Nick Brazel reacted enough as a true freshman to sell it to the official. He just kind of nonchalanted like nothing happened.
4-man rush on 3rd and 10. High seam ball almost intercepted. Daniel Sorensen had a chance to pick one off, and now what do? 3:28 to go. You've got 2 timeouts. You only need a field goal if you get the football back to try and win. Do you go for it on 4th and 10?
I think you punt the football right here.
I agree with you. My first thought would be to punt it as well.
Because, first of all, and Zach Stout may make a play right here and prove me wrong. I punt the football because all I need is a field goal to win this game. I think my odds of getting the ball back and kicking a field goal are better than Zach Stout right now. And these young receivers converting this first down.
Houston Nutt had his offense on the field, set to go for it on 4th down. Now he calls a timeout.
Yeah.
So that might be the kind of the sign of a second guess. Keep in mind also, he has the guy that led the nation last year in punting yards. The odds are, even kicking from inside his own 40-yard line, there's a pretty good chance you're going to pin BYU inside their 20.
Hey, Bob, this is a tough call. Again, this is why you pay the money. They only have one timeout, Ole Miss. It depends on the specifics. How much confidence do you have? Do you have more confidence in Zach Stout and one of these young receivers to convert on 4th and 10, or do you have more confidence we can punt it? BYU's going to play fairly consistent. We can get the ball back with good field position, and we have an All-American punter.
The difference, though, is if they do decide to punt it, it looks like the offense is going out. They just lost a timeout to talk it over.
Yeah.
So even if they fail to get it on 4th down, by calling timeout to talk it over, you cost yourself about 40 seconds potentially that you would have had if you had 2 timeouts.
Again, though, in Houston Nutt's defense, this is a tough call.
Well, here it is, 4th and 10. And even after the timeout discussion, they'll go for it. Stout wants the throwback screen. He's got a man, Jamal Mosley, the tight end, and he won't even come close. BYU snuffs it out, and Ole Miss turns it over on downs with 3:21 to go. Ethan Manu Maliuna was there to make the stop.
You talk about a great effort play. I want you to watch Big 55. I'm going to try to figure out. I think he's right here. And watch him chase this football down. Wow, that is a great play. A guy about 320 pounds chasing that thing down. I take that back. About 300 pounds out of Anchorage, Alaska, chasing.
3:21 to go. Ole Miss still has a timeout. Ole Miss is now going to sell out to stop the run, and they get Correa. Maybe it gains a yard. And now Houston Nutt will call his timeout. Normally, you wouldn't call your timeout yet. If you've got one left, you might let the first couple of plays go. Keeping in mind now, Ole Miss is out of timeouts.
Yeah, that's an argument that's been had a lot. If you have one timeout left, do you use the timeout right away? Because in case they do fumble on the next play, you have more time on offense. Rather than save that timeout, let them run it all the way down, and if they turn it over, you have no time when you get the ball.
Well, Bronco Mendenhall's team is 3 minutes and 16 seconds away of surviving and getting only the second win against an SEC team in the history of BYU football, on the road no less. And now Ole Miss, because they called that timeout to discuss the 4th down play, out of timeouts. Second down and 14. Correa tries to get outside, and he's pulled down by the horse collar.
Yep.
He was horse collared. That's going to be a first down. Mike Mary got outside to make the stop, but he grabbed Correa by the horse collar.
That's unfortunate. Mike Mary.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle, number 52, defense.
That just about ends the game.
And Bob, that was clear. That was an obvious horse collar. You're going to see Mike Mary, who's at an excellent camp. That's how horse collar's defined right there. When you drag a guy down by his jersey from behind. And this is a stunned Ole Miss crowd. They had a shutout going. A shutout with 4 minutes and 42 seconds left in this game. They're up 10-0.
And now we're under 3 minutes to go. Heaps with a handoff to Correa up the middle for a gain of about 4. Jake Heaps actually just did Ole Miss at least a little bit of a favor as BYU snapped the football with still 8 seconds to go on the play clock and the clock running. But even if they manage the clock somewhat imperfectly at best for Ole Miss, you're going to be looking at about somewhere between 50 seconds and a minute and 5.
The only decision is going to be is if BYU has a 4th down, do they kick a field goal and try to make it a 17-13 game, or do they just try to run it out on 4th down?
Or a pooch punt, potentially. That depends on down and distance. DeLuigi Might have lost a half yard, so now it'll be 3rd down. This will take us down inside of a minute and a half to go, most likely,
this will
before
take us down to
BYU snaps it again.
Yeah, take us down to 1:20. BYU's going to snap the ball, then that takes us down to 40 seconds, basically, before BYU probably calls timeout on 4th down.
Right.
And there'll be 40 seconds left in this game. And that's where the decision comes, what you do if you're Bronco Mendenhall. But first of all, you have to stop them here on 3rd down if you're Ole Miss.
Cougars snap it this time with 5 on the play clock. And Correa close to a 1st down. He's only about a half-yard shy.
Okay, now it's going to run down to 40 seconds.
At the 25.
Bronco will call timeout. And I would think go for it on 4th down.
If you get the 1st down, then you're kneeling on the football. If you don't, you have taken the clock down to about 30 seconds to go with a team that's got no timeouts that needs a field goal going the other way.
He's going to take this down to 41 seconds, right, and call timeout. Talk it over, but I think he'll go for it. I think he'll come up there and just run it on 4th down, and then the game's over. You don't risk the field goal because crazy things have happened in this game in the special teams.
Right. And the only decision that you could have here, would you potentially pooch punt it just to try to pick up an extra
it's not worth it.
6 or 7 yards
it's not
15
worth
yards?
I don't think. I think you come up and try to draw them offside with cadence first. Maybe on 4th down you come up there, try to draw them off. If they don't jump, you call timeout again so you don't get a 5-yard delay a game. And then you make the decision again. I think you go for it. Bob, what if the scenario played out where Ole Miss could have won this game? This fan, you feel the air out of the balloon in this stadium. But if you're Ole Miss, don't jump off sides right here.
Let's see if BYU snaps the ball. Correa is the eye back on 4th down and a half-yard. They snap it, and Correa is stopped.
They stopped him.
Well, there's a little bit of life still in the game for Ole Miss. 40 seconds remaining. They're out of timeouts as Wayne Dorsey got the stop on 4th down.
That was a great stop. That was a great stop. I'm surprised BYU didn't try to draw him with cadence. Let's think about Ole Miss right now. Deep play receiver. Number 12, Dante Moncrief, the freshman's in the game. Number 2, Nicholas Brazel. Number 2, the freshman, is in the game. Here's the stop again. Great penetration.
They probably need at least about 45 yards or so to get Bryson Rose a realistic look. Stout over the middle, short of the 1st down. That'll keep the clock rolling. Jeff Scott makes the catch, but BYU brings him down about a yard shy of a 1st down.
Just clock it.
Down to 24 seconds to go. And now the officials stop play because the ball hadn't been brought up ready for play at the line.
But you know what? That helps Ole Miss. Ole Miss wasn't up there anyhow ready to snap the ball. I think it actually helped them.
The ball. 3rd down and 1.
So the clock stops as Ole Miss clocks the ball. 3rd down and 1 with just over 20 seconds to go.
And I don't think if you're Ole Miss, you try to run the ball here just to pick up the 1st down. I think you throw it down the field.
They're going to get a delay of game penalty. They took so long getting out of the huddle, they picked up a 5-yard delay of game penalty. They can't get set, and the play clock winds all the way down. They clocked it on 2nd down and acted as if they had called a timeout.
That's one time, Bob, where you worry so much about that official call and you complain about the call, it rattles you, and you don't move on to the next call if you're Ole Miss. And now they're in kind of a Big Ben situation. We're going to throw the ball down the field.
Stout gets to the sideline, slings one, incomplete. So now we're down to 12 seconds to go. And now you're right. You have to almost Hail Mary it to try and get yourself in position for a field goal, because then the clock would stop with a 1st down. You can clock it.
Well, first of all, keep in mind it's 4th down. So you have to gain 6 yards. On a first down, the clock will stop until they set the chains. Then you get up there and clock it. But the first thing, convert to first down. Make sure you throw a route that's going to get you 6 yards. Another penalty.
Flags all over the place. Stout unloads one. It's a jump ball. Tipped around. Oh, Brazel had a chance at it, and it falls incomplete with flags down back at the line of scrimmage with under 6 seconds to go.
Yeah, they're probably going to get one more snap, and it's going to be 4th and 10 or 4th and 11.
Unless the penalty is against Ole Miss, in which case the game's over.
12 players participating in the play. Penalties decline. Second down.
Did he say second down?
Yeah, the official lost track of the downs, but the penalty was against Ole Miss. They had 12 men on the field. So the down stands, the penalty declined, and BYU is going to leave Oxford with a win on the road against an SEC opponent. What a start to the season, and what a survival performance for Bronco Mendenhall's team.
Statement game. We said they do come to SEC territory where they've won 5 national championships in this conference. They come in here and beat an SEC team. It wasn't pretty, but you just came from Provo, Utah. First game as an independent. You're going to walk out of Oxford, Mississippi with a win. Take it. For Ole Miss, devastating loss. Had the lead 10-0 with 4 minutes and 42 seconds left in this game and let it get away.
Ole Miss sat all offseason on a 4-8 performance last year that included a loss in the opening game here at home to Jacksonville State. And throughout this entire game, it looked for the world as if they were going to survive against BYU. But BYU wins it first as an independent, and let's go down to Jessica.
Coach, after being down 10-0 at the half, how are you able to keep Ole Miss to just 3 points and get the win?
It's just the type of players we have. I love our young men. I love what they represent. I trust them, and they just never gave up, and I'm proud of them.
Coach, there's been so much talk about you guys going independent. How much does this first game win mean for your program?
It's just the beginning of a new era, and we know that we can still improve, but a great way to start on the road against an SEC team. And I'm proud of what our guys did today, and I like what our future looks like.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Well, you could hear the emotion in the voice of Bronco Mendenhall. Thanks, Jessica. His voice cracked a bit at the end. I think he certainly realizes what this win on the road means for BYU. Again, our final, the Cougars over Ole Miss, 14-13. Coming up next, a battle of top 20 teams as number 5 Boise State and number 19 Georgia get together at the Georgia Dome. For Jessica Mendoza and Bob Davie, I'm Bob Wischusen. Thanks so much for joining us.